The Waco Independent School District is proud to support the Waco Foundation's SmartBabies Initiative. Hello again, everybody. My name is Dale Caffey, and yes, we are going to talk about Smart Babies on WISD TV with Ashley Weaver of the Waco Foundation. And Ashley, before we get started on Smart Babies, let's talk about your background and the work that you're now doing.
Would love to. I am originally from Waco, born and raised. I have the opportunity to go to TSCC and graduate from there with my associates, then went on to get my bachelor's degree in elementary education from Texas State University, and then went on to get my master's in urban education policy from Brown University, and have now had the privilege of coming back home and investing resources and my knowledge in Waco. It's been great.
Well, let's talk about you coming home, because you have a vested interest in this city.
Yes, very much so. I came back home and family is here, resources are here, and it's just a lot of great activity happening, and really wanted to get plugged in to the education community and began working with the Education Alliance and did that for a couple of years, and now working with the Waco Foundation to improve quality of life for children 0 to 3.
That's right. The Waco Foundation, all about improving the quality of life throughout the city, and one of the ways we're trying to do that right now is with something called Smart Babies.
Yes.
Talk about the background and how this Smart Babies initiative got started.
Yes, and so the Waco Foundation is a community foundation focused on improving quality of life overall. And the foundation did a report looking at the quality of life for children, specifically 0 to 3, and found that out of 100% quality of life potential, our children have a 41.67 quality of life. And so we recognized that there was a lot of room for growth and change. And so the Waco Foundation decided to begin this initiative focused on 3 areas: improving prenatal care, improving the capacity that we have to provide home visiting, and then specifically what we'll discuss today is decreasing our teen pregnancy numbers.
That's right, because we are going to focus on the fact that too many teens are giving birth between the ages of 15 and 19. In fact, in 2011, Texas ranked 5th in the nation in teen births among those 15 through 19-year-old girls. And so this is a problem in Waco, but throughout the state as well. Yes,
definitely. Our teen pregnancy rate has definitely been a challenge across the state. We do see the numbers improving to some extent, but definitely see a lot of a continued room for growth. And what we know that looking at a report that was done in terms of sexual activity for young people, what we know is in 6th grade, about 11% of young people are sexually active. And by 12th grade, about 70% of them are sexually active. And so when you say that Texas has the 5th highest pregnancy rate, we know that sexual activity is happening. Again, not all young people are sexually active, but having this information helps us to understand what needs we need to address.
Yeah, that slide that we're looking at now shows exactly how the problem is among those age groups. And given that enormous amount of teens giving birth to babies, you commissioned a study, or the Waco Foundation did, by Texas A&M University.
Yes.
What did that study, what was the purpose of that study, and what did it reveal?
One of the things that we know across the nation, but specifically here in Waco, is that teen pregnancy has a cost. And it's not necessarily just about pointing fingers at the teens to change their behavior. We as adults have to change our behavior as well. And one of the things that we wanted to first understand is what is the cost when young people are having children at a young age. And so one of the things that we did, as you shared, is commission this study. And what it told us is annually we pay about $6.9 million associated with the teen births in our community. And those numbers come from loss of wages, tax revenue that has to be paid to social services, and all those kinds of things that we pay out when young adults have to be supported once they have children.
I think most people would understand that it's not just a cost of that particular family or that teen, it's a cost to the community.
Exactly, and that's what the study with Texas A&M told us. It's helped us to understand that.
Now, to go along with that study, you also had a survey done among Waco's leaders and Waco's parents. What was the purpose of that study, and what did it reveal?
Yes, and so one of the things that we want to do in this work is model it after best practices. And best practices tell us that we first need to understand what our stakeholders are saying. And leaders and parents are very key key stakeholders in our community. Leaders because they provide resources and allocate resources within the community, but parents because they are really the steward of their child. And we want to respect their wishes in terms of what's happening with their children. And so with the leaders, what we heard and from them, from both parents and leaders actually, is that teen pregnancy prevention needs to be much more of a priority in our community, that we see it as an issue. And specifically with parents, that report was completed in partnership with Baylor University, and it was a phone survey. And we heard from parents that, again, we need to focus more on teen pregnancy prevention, but that also parents need support. So they're wanting to hear from community professionals that understand how to address these needs with their young people. They want to provide more support with their young people, but need support themselves in order to be able to do that. And so we heard some really great things, and I think you'll put that stat up as well in terms of some of the things that we heard from parents.
When you talk about what can be done, obviously sex education is something that they had back when I was in school, and that's a long time ago.
Yes.
But that's been widely debated for a number of years.
Yes.
Number one, what do you teach the kid? What kind of curriculum do you use?
Yes.
Is it all abstinence-based? Is
Yes.
it abstinence plus, I guess,
Yes.
is one of those? Did the parents vocalize what type of curriculum that they'd like to see?
Yes, they definitely shared that. So those terms are more professional terms oftentimes. So abstinence plus and abstinence based and those kinds of things. So we didn't use that exact language, but what we did hear is that they want their young people to hear about abstinence, but they also understand that they need to hear things like abstinence plus, those additional things where if young people need additional support or information, that they're getting those through that curriculum.
I want to talk about a study or a publication that's been out since 1998 that was used, something called Kids Having Kids.
Yes, exactly.
Can you talk about that?
Yes, so Kids Having Kids is what we base the cost-benefit analysis on. That was done some time ago, and it is essentially what we use is a formula to help us understand what it is what costs are associated with teen pregnancy. So helping us to pull down those numbers in terms of loss of wages for the individual, in terms of tax revenue, all those things. And Kids Having Kids has told us over and over that there's a cost associated when kids are having kids.
Now, you made a presentation to the Waco ISD School Board recently.
Yes.
It was this spring, and the board seemed very receptive to what you had to say and some of the goals of SmartBabies.
Yes.
Tell me what you presented to the board and what's next, basically.
Yes. So what we share with the board is really our understanding of the landscape. So it's the parent surveys that have been done, some of the resources, evaluations that we've done, and heard from the board that yes, this is definitely something that they'd like to see addressed because they see, again, that it has an impact on that individual child, but also the larger school system and then also the larger community. And heard from them that yes, they'd like to move forward with addressing this in ways that really align with what the parents have said in the parent survey.
So given their feedback, are we focusing now on some curriculum issues and the things that might be included in what we're going to teach these kids?
Yes, and so that's one of the next short-term steps is figuring out what curriculum, one, aligns with what the parents have said, and then two, really aligns with what the needs are within WISD. WISD has very specific needs in terms of the populations that they serve, and there's tons of resources out there that allows us to understand what it is that the curriculum should address when you have this specific population of students.
Right. And of course, I guess, since it is widely debated and you have some parents that are all for sexual education in our schools and some that are not, would there be, I guess, a chance for some parents to opt out if they wanted to?
Yes, that's definitely an option because what we found, and again, aligning practices with best practices, is that we want to hear from parents, and we want the parent is the first teacher, and the school district supports that parent in teaching their child, and so the parent is the authority in terms of what their child is learning, and them opting out is definitely an option.
But bottom line, the Waco Foundation is taking the bull by the horns, so to speak, and trying to tackle this problem of teen pregnancy. And you also looked at other cities
Yes.
and the success they're having. Would you like to share some of those
Definitely.
results?
So we have 2 cities that we know of, Milwaukee and Chicago, that have actually been successful in reducing their pregnancy by 50%. And so they've diligently worked for the last few years to make that happen. But we also have a local community that's a little closer to home, which is San Antonio. And they've also been diligently working and found 36% drop in their teen pregnancy rates. And a lot of what we would like to see happen in our community is what we've seen happen in San Antonio. And so the work that they've done in San Antonio has not only been about the specific school district, but also the larger community, the healthcare providers, the marketing that's going out, all those things that are messaging and communicating to young people, but also those professionals that have resources that can support the process.
And of course, we're getting ready to start the 2014-15 school year.
Yes.
Another school year is upon us.
Yes.
And given you did the study,
yes,
a very impressive study, we go forward to now talk about, if you will, repeat some of the short-term and long-term goals.
Yes, so some of the short-term goals is really making sure that the curriculum that we have locally really addresses the needs, and those 2 stakeholders really being the parents and what they've said, but then also listening to understanding what the students' needs are. And then also, one additional short-term goal is focus groups with teens. So we've listened to leaders, we've listened to parents, and teens are a very critical stakeholder in this process. And so wanting to hear from them also, so doing some focus groups in the coming months. And then long-term goal is, again, not necessarily just about WISD. WISD is a huge player in that process, right. But also the larger community, those healthcare providers, those social service agencies. Young people are not just in one place. There are multiple places. Right. And so how we can rally all the troops, because everybody plays a part in this, faith-based communities, everyone plays a part in assuring that we can reduce our teen birth rates in the community.
And of course it is a community-wide initiative, but I will say that your survey purposely focused heavily on WISD parents.
Yes, specifically wanting to hear from WISD. So the information will be available on Waco Foundation's website, wacofoundation.org. And you'll, in that report, when that comes out, which should be right before school begins, the final full report will come out. And the information, you can see clearly that some information was from McLennan County overall, and then specifically the WISD parents as well.
Very good. Ashley Weaver, thank you so much for joining us today. Any final comments?
Well, I think just the one last thing that I would share is, again, I'm from Waco. This is home to me. And my background is that I came from generations of teen pregnancy. And through a strong family support, through strong community support, through accurate awareness and knowledge and information, I was able to overcome that. And so I think that as a community, if we all understand our role and our part and play it diligently, we can actually attack this.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Dale.
Ashley Weaver of the Waco Foundation. It's called Smart Babies. You're going to be hearing more about that in the future. My name is Dale Caffey. Thank you so much for watching WISD TV.